Hi, everyone. I'm Barbara Beck, and I want to thank you for tuning in to Welcome Home. You know, we try to bring you variety in our programming, and our show today is no exception. We're going to have such fun because we're going to be talking about a subject that is near and dear to most of our hearts, and that's marriage. And not just marriage, but more specifically, weddings. Most of us are probably familiar with Jesus' first miracle in the Bible, and that was when he turned the water into wine in Cana of Galilee at a wedding feast. So that makes me think that Jesus really cares about marriage and even wedding ceremonies. Well, with that in mind, today we're going to do things a little differently. We're going to be talking to a bridal shop owner about his vision for his store and his brides, as well as have are you ready for this? A bridal fashion show revealing the latest trends in wedding apparel. And then we'll talk to some married couples about marriage and what makes them tick and find success in their lives. And just so you know, this program came about because of my little girl, my little 24-year-old daughter who's getting married soon, and our process of finding a wedding dress. There's been lots of talk around the Beck household lately about weddings and marriage, and I'm sure you'd like to hear what the current ladies have to say about this very subject. Welcome, ladies. So glad you're here today.
It's good news that Kelsey is 24 and not 12.
I knew I would get a hard time about that. Yes. Yes, she is not 12 years old getting married. She is absolutely twice that. 24 years old. But don't you think of your little sister?
She is totally 12.
I know.
I mean, she will always be 12 in our mind.
That's nice as you get older, you know, to still be the little girl.
Right.
You know, but we really do say that all the time. We're like, she's not ready to get married. She's just 12. You're the one that does that. You're the one that put that in my mind, right?
She's our Kelsey.
She is. Aww. She's our little girl. But so we're so excited to have this program today because I was kind of interested in knowing about your weddings and what you all thought about weddings and kind of know what you think about marriage because we've talked a lot about that.
Don't do it!
But tell me, did you have a wedding, Courtney?
Oh, yes, I did. And my wedding, looking back now, probably was more so to please the family, which I want to talk a little bit about, and then really pleasing Jeff and I. But I married a pastor's son, a PK. So you don't just invite your relatives, which we both have big families. His dad's one of 12. His mom's one of 5. My dad's one of 5. So if we just did our immediate family, we'd have a big hoedown. No, we had to invite the whole church too. So it was a little overwhelming in planning. But, you know, looking back, God was in the center of it all. And I mean, I'll never forget, I walked down the aisle to turn your eyes upon Jesus.
Wow.
Look forward to his wonderful face, and the things of this world will grow strangely dim the light of his glory and grace.
That just gave me chills. It
gave me chills saying that again. And you know, it was so God focused and it was so filled with joy and so God ordained. So no, I wouldn't go back and change anything other than we'd probably elope and then come back and have a little party, honestly, because there was so much focus on this preparation and pleasing everyone. And so that's where I wanted to share my scripture for this real quick. And that comes from Matthew 19:5. And it says, "For this cause shall a man leave father and mother and shall cleave to his wife, and they shall become one flesh." So yes, weddings are exciting, ceremonies. There's so many amazing cool trends and Pinterest and people doing all kinds of cool, funky things for their wedding. But my heart for our viewers today is focus on the marriage, not just the ceremony, because we put so much influence in that and people spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and then they don't focus on the preparation or the covenant, and you see them a year later, they're getting divorced. So that's what I would encourage our viewers to really focus on the relationship, go through that counseling, and do what God is calling you to do as a couple and enjoy it, because it's really about your day.
Good.
Yes.
Leanne, how about your wedding? And how many years ago was your wedding?
Almost 20 years. It's hard to believe, and I don't have a great memory, and so I don't remember a lot except for that it was big and it was a lot going on, and I don't think I thought through it like I should have. Of course, we did have counseling, but I recently went to a wedding and they had interviewed the parents, and then the bride and groom wrote letters to their parents about, you know, why they were getting married and what traits they wanted to have of them. And it was so incredibly thoughtful. And so I just wanted to tell you all that really, you know, take the time to make sure that this is who God picked out for you, and really look to your parents' marriage and what that looks like. I know some people may not have parents who are still married, but if you do, kind of delve into their marriages. And I just thought it was the sweetest wedding.
So they did that from when after they said their vows, they addressed the parents?
Well, the guy that married them, the priest that married them, that was part of the counseling.
Okay.
And so then they had written a letter to each of their parents. It was precious and really, really, really thoughtful. I shouldn't have told you that. I should have
No,
talked to
I love
Kelsey.
that. I'm not afraid. I can tell Kelsey that, right? That
It
is
was
so
really
neat.
Yeah.
Well, Carolyn, you got married. I don't want to say this because I want everybody to know all of our ages. That's not important.
Yeah,
but you
thanks
got
a lot.
married. I know,
Appreciate that.
sorry, but I remember you. A part of your testimony was that you were single for so long.
I didn't get married till I was 32 years old, and I had made a list of 80 things I was looking for in a mate. I know. I know. And everybody told me, you will never find that man. And I said, you're right, because my Bible tells me that a man findeth the good thing. And I just needed to be the good thing. And so I met this. Of course I am.
I
You
know.
see this.
Right.
And so we met, and 7 months later, I don't advise it to everybody, but 7 months later, we got married, and I met my father-in-law the night before.
Wow.
Yeah, no, we were really stepping out on faith. But you know, I did mine sort of like how you're saying. I didn't want to spend a whole bunch of money because we didn't have it to do. So I sort of did it like how the Amish do. I'm not kidding, I know. But everybody sort of came in. I had the most beautiful wedding. We got married at some friend's house that lives in the lake up in Winter Park. We released butterflies, and everybody was a part of the wedding. I sang a song. We each wrote something and said it to each other before we got married. And it was just, I agree with what you're saying. I think it has to be about you two and the commitment that you're making to each other. And
But when you said Amish, are you talking about like simplicity? Was that kind of the theme, is
Well,
making it very simple?
No, the Amish, what I love about them is they do it like if you're gonna, I just don't want to do a wedding where $100,000 goes out to a wedding, which I know people do that all the time,
Right.
but I'm such a business person that I think that could be a down payment to a house or pay off. And I just think it's such a waste. So, you know, the Amish people, everybody comes together to make that wedding work. They bring food, which the lady that I did it at her house wouldn't allow me to do that. I was so upset because I was like, I could have saved so much money if everybody would have just, you know. But honestly, and everybody loves to be a part. But I know everybody, it's different, but it was still beautiful. I mean, you know, the flowers were
I'm
gorgeous,
sure.
but somebody came and did the flowers for me, a girlfriend, and we just pulled it together. And by the time of it, I bet if I would have paid for it all, it'd have been a $100,000 wedding.
Wow.
But you know, so yeah, I know,
That's
isn't that
neat.
wild? I know now you're going to be afraid of me, you know. I'm thinking,
Well, Kristen, I know you had a wedding because I was there.
Yes, you were there.
Thank
God. And you
I
were
was a
part of
little
it.
bit of a part of the
Yes,
planning.
yeah,
Yes.
part of it.
So
Oh,
tell
it
us
was
about
wonderful. I loved my wedding. I loved every part of it. It was great. My mom was hugely integral in planning it. My mother-in-law was really helpful too. And I did a few things, but it was just nice because it was a great linkage of our families, because what my mother-in-law cared about was different than what my mom cared about. So they really worked well together, and it just was a really
And
special
you know,
day.
it was neat that was so sweet that your in-laws, we love Marilyn and David King, the wedding was held by both of us, both sets of parents. That's not, it's usually just the bride's parent that gives the wedding, but they came along beside us and helped us throw the wedding, because it was a family thing. And to this day, how many years later, 13 years later, we love the King family, and we do things together. We have our Thanksgivings together, our Christmases, and it's such an enormous, enormous blessing. But what was the most maybe significant part of your wedding, do you think, besides the beauty of it and the fun and all of that? What did you like best about your wedding?
In planning, I think one of my favorite things was planning the music. You know, we've talked about that we love music in our family and what that does and the spirituality that brings. And so the music was super important to me. But I just remember standing in the back of the church with my dad and waiting to walk down to see Chris. And it just was, oh my gosh, who knew I was going to get out? But just that time with my dad, getting ready to go down with my husband, was just to meet my husband, was just really special.
It is a special day. You know, I remember you guys thought we are not going to cry. This is a happy time. But for me, it was really special because both of my parents are both deceased. And so I have 3 brothers. And so I made it where each one of my brothers walked me down the aisle. And so we had a moment at each time, and one of them would grab me, the next one would grab me, and the next one. So they all were giving me away, and I felt like I had all their covering to be a part. And it is, you just got to remember what the day is about. It's about the love and the blessing that God brought 2 people together to become one flesh, and it's powerful.
I'll never forget, you know, my dad's a man's man. I've always been daddy's girl, and we came out at the top of the church and walked our way down. We got all the way down to the aisle, and at the end, I mean, my dad's a big guy. He's tall, and he's a thick guy, and his knees buckled. Like, he was going down. And I had his arm, and I mean, you could literally see in the video me yanking him back, like, no, Dad, we're not going down today. Like, stand strong. And he just looked at me, and I thought he was going to bust out laughing. And it was one of those moments that kind of broke the ice. But it was overwhelming, going, wow, this is a big deal for my dad. And then the other thing that was so cool, I knew I was just going to minister my vows. Everyone's like, what are you going to say? You're going to write it down? I'm like, nope, I'm just going to let it go and let it flow. You know how I do. And so here I am. I'm getting ready to, you know, prepare myself to do that. And all of a sudden, Jeff sings his vows to me. And, like, his brothers are backing him up. And I was not prepared for that. And I'm thinking, oh, I got this, you know. It took me to the floor. I got so emotional. So I'll never forget him singing to me on our wedding day. And then we had this joke, and when he came time for him to propose to me, he said my ring wasn't ready because we had it designed. And there's a whole testimony behind that. But it was so funny. His groomsmen, he started looking for my ring, and I'm like, oh my God, did his brother Derek like lose my ring, you know, my band? And they somebody pulls out a Cracker Jack box and passes the thing down. It was like a comedy show. And so I had no idea they were doing that. And then when it came time for me to give his ring, I pulled out a ring pop and gave it to him. So we didn't even know. And so it set the tone for our marriage, because laughter has gotten us through some tough times. And so those are the things that I look back on, and those were my favorite moments.
Well, I'm excited to see what the next segment has to offer, or the segment coming up in the show, where we look at some brides and we see what some of the trends are. I know this is a trend that's going to probably surprise each of you, because did you wear a veil? Yeah, quick answer, yes or no?
Did.
Yes, a veil. Yes.
In the veil.
Yeah. The veil in the back. Not everybody had the veil in the front. Veil in the front?
Yes.
Yes, veil in the front?
In the front.
Front? No. Okay. Well, guess what the trend is now?
No veil.
No veil. Right. They'll wear a little headpiece. I mean, some of them do, but I'm so excited to see what the fashion show has to offer us. And then we're going to be talking to a couple that's been married a little longer than you guys have. So it's going to be fun to see. This program is all about weddings and marriage. And of course, we know that Jesus is the bridegroom. He is our groom. We as the church are his bride. And so I want us to be sure to keep the focus on the spirituality and the enormous love that we have for our bridegroom, but we also are going to have lots of fun in this program talking about weddings and marriages. So stay with us. We'll be right back with lots more. Oh, what great fun it was to hear the current ladies talking about their marriages and weddings. Some of their memories and experiences were so touching and sweet. So we thought it would be a blessing for you to actually see some of their weddings from decades ago. We put together a current ladies wedding montage just for you. So sit back, relax, and enjoy with us. Hi, everybody. I am so glad that you stayed with us today because we have a kind of a show that we haven't really done before. We're going to be doing some things that are going to hopefully encourage you in your marriage. And if you're a mother, a father, a grandmother, a grandfather, or maybe you're a bride or a groom getting ready to plan a wedding, I hope that this program is going to give you some great ideas on how to have a really strong Christian marriage and a wedding that is stress-free. I don't know if that can happen or not, but we're going to ask Newell Fox today about that. He is our guest with us. He is the owner of Solutions Bridal Shop here in Orlando, and I want to welcome you to the show. Newell, thanks for being here with us.
Thank you, Barbara. Thanks for having me.
Now, tell us first a little bit about who Newell is.
Born and raised in Louisville, Kentucky. Been married for 10 years. My beautiful wife, Heba. I have 2 children, 6 and 4, my daughter, Ansley, and my son, Indy. Graduated from the University of Florida. That's where I met my wife, and that's where we reside now in Gainesville, Florida.
Well, we'll forgive you for being a Gator. It's okay. I mean, I'm sure it would have been easier to be a Noel, right, with a name
Yes.
like Newell, but that's okay.
Yes.
We love our Gators, too. In fact, I always say this. My husband went to Florida State, graduated. He is a Seminole, but his father was a Gator and is in the actual Hall of Fame there at University of Florida. So
Very nice.
we have a great respect and love for both University of Florida and Florida State. So we'll forgive you for that.
I appreciate that.
Tell us, Newell, a little bit about who you are as a Christian, because you're a business owner and you're a family man, you're a husband, you're a father, you're all kinds of things,
Yes,
but
ma'am.
primarily you're a Christian, right?
Yes, ma'am. Raised in a Christian home. My mom and dad brought me up and raised me the right way, and I always was going to church on Wednesday night and then Sunday morning, and just had a real good core there at home and a good influence.
So what's it like being a dad of 2 small children? Because we really are all about family here, and that's one reason I wanted to do a marriage show. It's so important to be a great father and to be a great husband. What do you do with your kids, and in particular your wife as the spiritual head of your household? How do you make sure that your home is a Christian home?
Every day, I think I'm challenging them with life skills, going up and introducing themselves. The number one rule I have, anytime they ask me for something, the answer is yes. But I'm going to get something in return as well. So, for example, we're in Starbucks the other day. My daughter says, "I'd like a cake pop." No problem. Can you go over there and introduce yourself to that young lady? I want to know her name, where she's from, and what her favorite Starbucks drink is. So we're practicing life skills every single day to be able to communicate on a high level.
That is great. I love that. You know, people used to make fun of me, Newell. No kidding. With my kids, I had a similar kind of a thing. I said, I'll tell you yes for most things. If it's moral and if it's something that makes sense, the answer is going to be yes. But I want you to find out something about people. I want you to ask questions. A lot of times people say, I'm not good with people. Well, ask somebody a question, and that gets that person to talk about themselves, really. And it's a great life skill.
That's right. And we, taking a page from Tim Tebow's mom, rewarding with $1 every time someone gives him a compliment. We do that a lot in our household as well. If someone walks up to us and says, "Man, your children are very well behaved," I'll break them off with a little $1 every once in a while.
That is great, Newell. I love that. All right, you had at some point, you graduated from college. Did you just decide when you were a little boy, I want to own a bridal shop one day and open a bridal shop? Or how did that vision come about?
It was not a lifelong dream of mine. And when I was asked that question for 7 or 8 years, my token answer was, we saw a niche market, we saw an ability to do something a little bit more on the customer service end. And that wasn't true. The real reason was I wanted to be just like my dad. I saw my dad start a business in the franchise industry in 1965, grow that business up, and I saw him motivate people, cultivate people, send people to school. He had 6 supervisors at one point that all smoked, and smoking was a big thing in Kentucky, cigarettes in the mid-'80s, and he said, "You know what? You guys are very valuable to my company." He gave each of them a very, very nice bonus, and he put them on the honor system, and he said, "If you guys can quit smoking, you guys keep the money. If you have 1 cigarette, you give me the money back."
Wow.
All 6 of them quit smoking and stayed with him for 10, 15, 20 years.
Praise God. So, it's kind of like a mindset where you care about the whole person. You care about the physical part of the person, the spiritual part, the emotional part. I think that's what Jesus calls us to do, Newell, to really care about people. So when you walk into Solutions, and I do have to say, I did this with my daughter. That's how I found out about you. Our daughter, Kelsey, is getting married in February. I walked into Solutions and I felt like it was something different. all three people who worked there came up to me and started talking to me. They ushered me back to a nice sofa similar to what you're sitting on. There was a picture frame that said, "Welcome, Kelsey." They were expecting her. We had made an appointment. It just felt like you cared about us. Where does that come from, your dad?
I think so. I think from my mom as well, the attention to detail. I equate our experience at Solutions Bridal to flying first class. In my 20s and my 30s, I'd never flown first class. So when I'm sitting on that plane next to someone and we say, well, why are they up there paying all that extra money? We all get there at the same time. We all get on and off the plane at the same time.
Yeah.
We get our luggage at the same time. And then until I flew first class, that one time, I've only done it once in my life, and I remember there's a reason why they closed the curtains. And it's just a completely different experience. And that's what we have at Solutions Bridal, just a completely different experience that's on another level.
It really is, and I was not expecting anything any different than any other bridal shop. I had walked into a couple of others, and I just said, well, this is another experience. But what can that bride expect when she walks into Solutions Bridal, Newell? How is it going to be a first-class experience rather than just a run-of-the-mill experience at another bridal shop? What's different?
I think two key components for us is, number one, education. Our staff is educated on what's out there, what the trends are, what's going on. My top two or three people have gone to maybe 10 or 15 other salons to shop them, to see what's out there, who's doing it right, who's not doing it right, and then we consider ourselves on the cutting edge, whether it be in social media, ideas that are out there online, to give the brides a clear perspective on what we're trying to accomplish in the store.
So Newell, you must enjoy owning a bridal shop, being the owner of. It's the only one. It's not a franchise yet. I guess it could be at some point. But this is your only baby. You live in Gainesville. You have a shop in Orlando. How do you make that work, and how can you enjoy that when you're 2 hours away?
I think you have to hire great people. And you have to give your employees autonomy, and my employees have a ton of autonomy. I don't even really call them employees, I call them teammates, because we are trying to accomplish a goal of providing great customer service and a great experience when you're buying your wedding gown. I mean, it's the most important article of clothing a bride is going to wear in her life, and we want to make sure it's a great experience for her.
Well, and it's the first thing she wants to do. At least it was with my daughter. As soon as she was engaged, it wasn't about what church am I going to get married in and where's the reception going to be. It's like, my dress. I got to find my dress. You know, it's just something that is so important. And for you to honor those brides and to make them feel and kind of understand what they're going through, I think it's a rich experience. So tell me, Newell, what kind of advice you would give for newlyweds today?
I think it's three things. I think number one, keep God first. He'll take you places. Number two, communication. In a marriage, a good marriage has great communication. And third, my dad said this at my rehearsal dinner 10 years ago. It's the two or three things you don't say to your spouse every single day. Let her keep the toothbrush on the countertop. Don't worry about which way the toilet paper is rolled. Keep your mouth shut on a couple of those two or three things. So keep God first, communication, and it's the two or three things that we don't say every day.
I can't tell you which one of those three things I like the best. Obviously, I should say number one, keep God first, but that is so rich. That's so important. To have a strong marriage, we definitely need to keep God first, but just let some of the little stuff go. I love that. Keep your mouth shut. Good advice, Newell. I wish you 40, 50 more years of a great marriage there in Gainesville with your wife. Thank you for what you're doing at Solutions to make brides feel good and to keep Christ in our marriage and in our weddings, to keep Christ in our weddings. How important is that? Well, viewers, we've got something lots and lots of fun coming up. We have Roberta, who works at Solutions Bridal, and she's going to be moderating, are you ready for this? A fashion show. We have three beautiful brides. They're going to be coming out and showing us what some of the trends are in weddings today, and I'm excited to see what they've brought. So stay with us. We'll be right back with our first ever Welcome Home Bridal Fashion Show. Welcome, everyone, to our one-of-a-kind wedding/bridal show. You know, I was thinking the other day how the wedding at Cana, where Jesus turned the water into wine, what an exciting time that must have been. And I really had to wonder, what did weddings look like back in Jesus's day? Well, I don't know, but I do know what they look like today. And I want you to be a part of that. And that's part of the reason that we brought you this show today. God created marriage, and it is so important for us to have strong, healthy marriages in the Lord. And sometimes what is a precursor to a great marriage is a wedding. Doesn't have to be, but because of that, we thought that you might like to see some bridal gowns. And this is our first ever fashion show from Solutions Bridal Shop in Orlando. We have some beautiful brides. In addition to that, we have a wonderful person today with us today, our guest, Roberta. Thank you for being here today. Noronha?
Yes.
Did I say it right?
You did.
Okay, good. Welcome. And I'm so glad
Thank
that you're here
you.
today. You work at Solutions, right? What's
Yes,
your job
I do.
there?
I'm the sales manager in the store, and I run most of our social media channels as well.
Okay, Roberta. Well, I am excited to see what some of our brides look like. What are the bridal gowns? We love our brides, but we really want to see what their gowns look like. Who is
course.
our first model?
So first, I'm bringing out Victoria. She's wearing beautiful Inez de Santo gown, and it has a beautiful plunging neckline, but it's still being modest in
Right,
a way,
right.
not too exposed. The trends have become a little bit more risque lately, and I love Inez de Santo because she plays that fine line in between sexy but classic and not too revealing.
Right.
And we have two mixes of lace in this dress, with the Gouppier lace going down her neckline and then the Chantilly lace going through the bottom. And beautiful long sleeve that we can always customize it and make it sleeveless as well. And then Victor, I'm gonna have you turn around too so we can show the back of this dress. I love the back of this dress because it has beautiful back line, and it covers, again, just enough. It doesn't go down too much, in a long chapel length train. And I paired it with Marilyn accessories, which are all made out of rhodium Swarovski crystals, meaning that the pieces won't tarnish, and it's something that the bride can pass down later on, whether it's to a friend or a daughter or a niece. These pieces can all be passed down
So
as well.
her hairpiece, talk to me about that, because I noticed that
Absolutely.
Victoria does not have a veil, obviously.
Yes, so we have seen veils phase out. Normally, brides are wearing veils if it's something that the family is really pushing to wear, or if the bride's always dreamed of having that veil with the blush over her head so her fiancé can pull it over and do the reveal. So this headpiece, turn a little bit for me. So this headpiece, the other way, is covered in opal with the Swarovski stones as well as the rhodium plating on it. It's beautiful, all handmade in Miami. So we're very blessed to be in Orlando and so close to this designer as well.
So Roberta, talk also a little bit about her hair, because I wonder if, of course, you know that I have a daughter who's getting married soon.
Yes.
And the big debate is hair up or hair down. Her hair looks gorgeous up. What is the
Absolutely.
point? Why would you choose one way over the other?
So I always encourage my brides to wear their hair up. I feel like we wear our hair down on a daily basis. And I feel like wearing your hair up exposes the beauty of your face, and it gives you the bridal version of yourself. So I feel like having your hair up is a little bit more sophisticated and elegant, and it shows off the dress a little bit more. And the other thing is, you're going to be dancing, you're going to be having fun on your wedding, and you don't want to worry about your hair getting messed up.
So does this dress, and do all dresses bustle? Speaking of dancing.
Absolutely.
Yes, okay.
Absolutely. So let me show you quickly, perfect, how you could bustle. So this is done during alterations process.
Okay.
It's not, the dress does not come with a bustle. I think that's the biggest thing that brides think of, oh, my dress just automatically bustles, and it doesn't really.
Oh.
So during alterations, the seamstress can come back in and add that bustle to your dress.
Okay, good.
You can do a quick lift like this, and the dress will just lay very nicely with a fold.
Beautiful.
Or you can do a really, really simple pickup where the train just gets gathered at the top.
Gorgeous, gorgeous. All right, here's the big question of the day, of course, coming up. What would a dress like this cost?
So this dress is actually made in Canada, and it's 100% silk fabrics. Being in Florida, it's something that you have to think of because it's very, very hot. And the silk allows the body to breathe a little bit more. This dress is right around $7,900.
Okay. What are brides? I know different shops charge different amounts, obviously, for dresses, but what is about the median price for a bride's dress today?
So I would say $3,500 to $4,500 is fair.
Okay. So start saving your money if you have daughters and granddaughters, right?
Yes, I already did.
Well, we talked with Newell, and we said it is such an important part of a girl's day. You know, that's the first thing that she wants to do is to buy her dress. Now, this will store well. What do you recommend for storing?
So for storing the dress, after the wedding, what you want to do is clean the gown, first of all, and preserve it. We do have a company we work very closely with. They're based out of New York, and all they do is clean and preserve a wedding gown. And that will allow the gown, especially with lace, to not age and not turn yellow over time.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, Victoria. You are a gorgeous bride, and we're excited to see our next beautiful dress. What else do we
So
have,
I'm
Roberta?
going to bring out next is Jasmine, and she's also wearing it as a Santo gown.
Oh, that's gorgeous. The sparkle, the bling.
Yes, I love this dress because the detail, it looks like lace, but it's actually embroidered in beading. She uses very delicate beading to embroider the lace, and it gives you that illusion of the dress being lace. This one is more of a strapless gown, so keeping with that traditional strapless gown. Inez Santo puts a lot of structure in the gown so the gown won't fall during the day. It stays nice and tucked and hugged to your body.
And the other thing I know that I learned from going to Solutions is that you can always have straps put in. If you didn't want this dress to be strapless, there are lots of other things that you can do,
Absolutely.
right?
That's one of the things that we pride ourselves on at Solutions Bridal, and that's one of the things that we've done really well and taken charge in the industry is to be able to customize and change the gown for each individual client, whether they want to add straps, make the back of the dress not sheer, line it. We can do all those things. We have a great in-house seamstress as well as a designer can make a lot of these changes too.
Okay, once again, Roberta, we have no veil, but she does have, again, something in her hair.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So headbands are in right now, as well as rose gold. That's why I chose to put Jasmine in rose gold.
Well, with her color skin, too, that is gorgeous.
Absolutely. And that little color in the dress, too. It has a little bit of a cameo pink in there.
Beautiful.
So she does have rose gold accessories, and we paired it with the headband because her hair is just so beautiful that putting a veil on her, it would end up flattening her hair.
Right.
And you don't want to destroy that. It's just beautiful.
And then when you have the reception, you don't want your veil on anyway, so you might as well start without a veil. I just think that's gorgeous. Now, this again will bustle. The bustles are custom made for each gown.
Correct.
All right, talk to us about, let our viewers see the back of
Let's
this dress.
turn
'Cause
around
it's so gorgeous.
and show the back of your dress a little bit. And it has a beautiful sheer panel right here.
Yes.
And you can choose to line it if you don't want your back showing.
Yeah.
This detail on the bottom will carry all the way up. So it's very beautiful detail, again, all hand embroidered. And this one is the Santo gown, just like Madrid that was shown before. It's right around $7,900.
$7,900. Now, there must be a rule of thumb. When you have big earrings, maybe she's wearing a big bracelet, there's not going to be a necklace. Is that kind of a rule of thumb?
So I tend to do that, especially with a strapless gown that has beaded detail on the top.
Okay.
You don't want to take away from that beautiful neckline by putting a statement necklace on.
Right.
So I tend to not like to do the big earring with the necklace. Plus, it cuts you off too many times.
What are you finding with brides today, Roberta? Are they wanting bling? I mean, this is total bling. It is gorgeous.
Yes.
Lots and lots of sparkle. Is sparkle okay in the daytime? Is it 50-50? What are brides, what's trending with the sparkles?
I think it really depends on the bride. I've seen a bride actually do this dress in a garden day setting because when you take this dress outside, a lot of that shimmer tones down. So of course in here it's very bright because of all the lights on her.
Yes.
So during the day it's actually fairly beautiful. I always tell my brides, I've had a client get married daytime on the beach with 50 people, and she wore a big satin beaded ball gown. So I tend to tell people to not let the venue choose your dress. You have to choose your dress no matter where you're getting married.
Right.
You want to look your best this day. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity to wear a beautiful wedding gown.
And we have a beautiful bride too. Thank
Absolutely.
you so much. That is gorgeous. You look wonderful. Let's see what our next wedding gown looks
So
like.
our next dress is actually Renata. This is definitely a little bit more trendy, and
Ooh, yes, trendy.
yes. So she's wearing Ravini by Rita Veneris. This dress is beautiful. It's definitely for an edgier bride and a bride that wants to go a little bit more out of the box.
All right, tell everybody why you're saying edgy, because I don't know if this is translating on TV, but there is a definite see-through element.
Absolutely.
Right?
So the top is actually a bandeau that's underneath the dress with the lace, and it puckers out a little bit when you see really
Yeah.
closely, especially in the back. Turn around for me, Renata. So in the back, you can see that detail a little bit more right here with the bandeau, as well as the shorts that she has underneath.
See, now that's what I wanted you to be sure to tell everybody. These are actual shorts. Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's
So the
not
dress-
just that you can see through. This is
No.
a short under
and
there.
it's actually all lace too, so that way when you see through
that.
it, you can see the beauty of the lace underneath. And Rita Veneris is strategic. She put the lace on places where it would hide what needs to be hidden, and it would show
Yes.
what needs to be shown.
Yes.
So she thought very, very carefully of where to do everything.
Right, right. It's very strategic. All right, so now
Absolutely.
Renata's hair. She has her hair, I don't know if that's half up, half down, but it's definitely
Yeah.
not all the way down, right?
No, so we did a side braid for her. We wanted to keep it in the light of the dress, very airy, almost a little bit edgier too, with that boho feel to it. And she has a beautiful, turn a little bit for me this way. It's all Swarovski glass pearls and crystals on there. This piece is by Paris by Deborah Moreland. And I love this piece just because it shows the intricacy of the hair and the detail that matches the dress so, so well. And then the beautiful chandelier earring with that too.
Well, I know that is a something that is great, that enhances the look. You don't have to buy a veil that costs a lot of money, but I'm sure these the pieces cost a good bit too.
Absolutely.
So what would a hairpiece like that cost?
So this one is right around $450, and the earrings are around $350.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so they are a piece of jewelry, they are a piece of art.
Right.
And the designers make these pieces to pass them down.
Yes.
They're not just a once in a lifetime.
Right.
They want you to pass it down. And you know, with an earring like that, you can throw it on for your anniversary and bring back that memory of your
Right.
wedding day with your
Exactly.
wedding accessories.
So, what would you say if somebody, with alterations, with the cost of the dress, the hairpiece, the earrings, are we looking at maybe $10,000 by the time we get through with everything?
I would say around $9,500 to
Okay.
$10,000 is fairly fair with the three dresses that we picked for today. But yes, alterations can range anywhere between $450 to $750, depending what you're doing.
Sure,
And
sure.
your accessories can go up to $1,200, $1,300 easily.
Right. So trending, what would you say, Roberta, would be trends for brides today, just overall? Or maybe that's not even a fair question because it depends on what the bride likes.
Absolutely.
But what would you say would be a trend?
I would say the illusion paneling
Okay.
is trending right now, as well as removable skirts. Removable skirts are in right now. You can wear a sleek dress and put a removable skirt over it, and it gives you two looks. It gives you that fuller A-line gown for your ceremony, and you take it out and you come out in this really sleek, sophisticated
Sure.
dress for your reception
Now, you
without
didn't-
having to change.
Right. You did not bring out any ball gowns, and to me, a ball gown is something huge and enormous. Are brides still wearing ball gowns?
They are. It's definitely gone down, the amount of
Okay.
ball gowns being worn, but there are definitely brides wearing ball gown. This is more of a modified A-line, so it has a slight opening to
Right,
it.
right.
But yeah, ball gowns are still in. I don't think they will ever die.
Right.
Especially because of Disney princesses. So
Now, how much fun is this job that you have? You must love going to work every day, to be able to work with brides
Absolutely.
and to work with beautiful, beautiful gowns. Is it your
Yes.
dream job?
I have to say, at this point in my life, it is my dream job. love waking up every day. I'm a huge believer in doing something that you absolutely love and waking up and doing what you like.
Let's bring our 3 brides back on. So come on back. Renata, just turn right back around and come so we can see all 3 brides up here together to give you viewers an idea of what is trending today in bridal gowns and just to show you what your little girl might look like one of these days or your granddaughter. So ladies, you are drop dead gorgeous. Thank you so much for being here with us today and for showing us these 3 different kinds of beautiful, beautiful wedding gowns. Again, from Solutions Bridal here in Orlando. Roberta, thank you for being here with us and moderating and helping us understand what trends are today and some about just wonderful things about brides and weddings. So thanks again for being with us. Well, viewers, we've got more good stuff coming up for you, so stay with us. We have a marriage that's going to be, you're going to hear from a couple who've been married for a long time. Let's see what their wedding and their marriage were like. So stay with us.
Hi, I'm Giselle Worthington, and this is Your Beauty by God tip. So I have 4 kids, and I'm a business owner. I'm so busy all the time that washing my hair, to be honest with you, sometimes I want to do something fun. So for example, today I've got a gorgeous updo. I feel confident. I feel great. Well, guess what? I'm going to show you exactly how to do it on a beautiful model that I have today. Everybody say hi to Alona. Thank you so much for being my model. So she actually washed her hair 2 days ago, which is perfect because I want to show you a quick updo that you can go out and feel confident in. So I prepped her hair with some dry shampoo. Usually dry shampoo is just applied to the root. That's what we think. But if you want a textured look, you can actually spray a little bit of it into the hair just like that, and it creates a little bit of volume. So what we're going to do is I'm going to just turn her head this way, and right behind your ear, you're going to start twisting your hair. And you can do this. This really is going to only take a few minutes on yourself. You just start twisting your hair, if you can see that. Okay, I love using bobby pins that are 2 inches. They're perfect, and they sell them everywhere. So I'm just going to put them right there. I'm going to basically line her up and give her some nice foundation, nice and tight, but it's not so tight that she gets a headache, right? So that's in there now. I've put them all in this way, okay? So now we've got this hair here. I'm gonna part these in 2 pieces, just like this. This is so simple, ladies. I love it. 2 pieces just like this, and I'm literally gonna tie them in knots. So tie it tight there, do another one, tie it tight here, do another one. So however long your hair is, this is actually going to work. So now we have this here, and I'm just going to twist it up lightly, just like that, followed with bobby pins, placing the bobby pins like you're pinning your head, and you're just going to push them in there and then run them up against your head. And then again, push them in there, run them up against your head. Feel secure? Feel secure. And if there's a little piece you don't like, and you want to just tuck it away, you can just literally grab it. Like, for example, if this was out, just literally grab it like that, twist it, and tuck it in. And there you have it, super easy. Well, that's it for now. I'm Giselle Worthington with Your Beauty by God tip. And remember, God made you beautiful.
Well, I love talking to couples about marriage and what makes their marriages successful. And today we have with us Dave and Christine Martin, who are going to give us some tips about why they have some wonderful longevity in their perfect marriage, right? Isn't that right, guys? A perfect marriage?
Perfect.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
You've been married for how long, Dave?
18 years.
18 years. And Christine, how many of those have been perfect?
Yeah. Well, he used to say when people would ask, 16, because 2 of them were really, really bad.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that you have some things, though, some ways that you go through your marriage together to help grow your marriage. And we all have problems in our marriage. I'll be the first one to say we've been married 43 years and we're still working hard at it. I mean, it is not, there's not a day that's easy. You know, you're always working at relationships.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you all do to make it a good relationship?
I know for me, I practice forgiveness daily because there are times when I think, oh gosh, you're getting on my nerves. I'm offended by that. So it's just a daily forgiveness walk
You
that
have
has
to
really.
forgive me daily.
You didn't know that. Now that you know
Not
that,
daily,
Dave.
but for me, forgiveness is just an act of being conscious every day to not get
Yeah.
offended by anything.
Right.
You know,
right.
it's not that you do it. You don't do things wrong every day, honey. I adore you. But there are times, but yeah, you do get on my nerves, and I have to just practice forgiveness.
We're going to have a therapist come on now and
Yeah.
try to help me with my marriage and you all.
We do that as well, though, for marriage
You
maintenance.
do? You do go to
Yeah,
counseling?
I think that's
We do.
so important. Yeah, I'm
Oh,
into
good.
coaching.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's true. You're a
so
life
we have a
coach.
relationship coach
Right.
that for years and years we've gone to. It's,
Really?
You know,
So what sort of
at
things
one
do you
point-
talk about?
At one point we needed it, and now it's just for regular maintenance and just,
Good.
hey, you deal with so many issues in life, and a lot of times just having someone else to go, okay,
Yeah.
how can we deal with that a little bit
Right.
better? How could you deal with that? It's not that anything major is wrong, not like we're on the edge of
Yeah.
calling it quits, but just
Right.
having someone to coach you along the way to make it more successful.
So let me ask you a really personal question, because we're trying to be really real, authentic, and I tell all kinds of things I probably shouldn't tell, but I do like to tell
She does
stories.
that
What would you say is the biggest challenge that you have in your marriage? What are some of your marital challenges or conflicts that you might
Gosh,
have?
mine might be different than yours.
Getting along would be the number one. No, I'm kidding.
Getting
That's
along.
kind of why. You know, with us, we travel a lot, and
Yes,
so
that's what I was gonna say.
we're gone a lot, and so how to adjust? It's
From
not
each
like,
other, you mean, or
yeah,
from okay.
from each
Yes.
other, from home. So
Mm-hmm.
all those kind of things. We have a son
Sure.
who's 9 years old, and so we're also dealing with the parenting. Okay, and sometimes she may be going to speak somewhere. I'm going to speak.
Right.
Is he going to go with me? Is he going to go with her? When are we together? How do we balance all that kind of stuff? And really, I don't think there's any normal. Everyone's life's different, so you got to find what your normal is. So our normal is totally
Right.
different than someone who works 9 to 5 and is home every
very
night.
different.
But,
And
but Christine, you said that was your challenge too, would be
Yeah.
the traveling.
I feel like we're on a game show and I won. Yes, because that is exactly what I would say.
Yeah.
You know, if he's gone for a week or two at a time, I've gotten to a groove and a system, and then Dad will come home and it's a woohoo hero dad, and I've been disciplined mom, and all the roles that we play. And so I struggled with that for a while, but we have, I feel, great communication and just making sure that we come to bounds of this is what I have set up for the weeks, that I've been home. And so when you step back in, let me give you the list of how life
Sure.
happened while you were away. And then just making sure we make it seamless.
What do you have an only child, and we had an only child for 14 years also until we had our second only child. But what would you say would be your philosophies on disciplining and in rearing your son? Because we often had, you got two imperfect people
Right.
coming together in an imperfect marriage or relationship
Right.
trying to raise a child. Do you ever have any struggles or conflicts with that?
Oh, we
Yeah.
definitely had a lot of. We grew up in totally different
Correct.
backgrounds.
Yes.
My dad's a pastor. My grandfather's a pastor. Her dad's a heathen. Her grandfather's a heathen.
They love Jesus now.
We grew up
Used to
totally,
be. Used to
totally
be.
different, and
Very
her
true.
family was some abuse
Yeah.
of.
It's very different. I never wanted to spank. I didn't believe in all that because
Ah.
I didn't want to push the envelope because
Sure.
I was abused.
Yeah, and so a little thing might trigger her to.
Right.
And so that's another where a coach came in to help us.
Yes.
And that's really where we started when about 9 years ago when we had Solomon.
That's
And
absolutely
how do we
right.
deal with this? Because her way of parenting and my way of parenting were different. It's like, I played football my whole life. She played basketball, and now we're trying to play with our rules
Right.
in a different game. So how do we develop rules for us
Right.
in our life and our family of how
It's
to
true.
raise a son that loves God and is obedient and respectful and all those things. And so it was definitely
It was a challenge.
a challenge along the way.
Well, I love
But-
that you said, Dave, that it is so important to understand what your normal is. Your normal is not like my normal, nor is it
Right.
like the person next door, but we just
Right.
need to get all of that figured out. And I love that you've said that counseling helps, because having that third party come in and really be unbiased is so important. What else has been sort of important to you in your relationship, 18 years and counting?
Well, we do date night once a
Okay.
week when we can. There's times when we're apart, but then he's great at making that up, And I
Date
think,
night without Solomon, without your son,
yes,
right?
we do a family night,
Good.
and we let Solomon typically pick where we go, and then that's the three of us, a family time, and then time without Solomon, just so that, because I think, gosh, he's going to be 18, 19, 20, whenever he moves out, right?
Right.
I still want to love my husband,
Right,
not have that, oh my gosh, who is this stranger?
Children leave, spouses stay.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So if we put all the
Very
focus
important.
on him and forget about us.
Yeah.
And so often couples forget. I think one of the biggest things, couples forget to have fun.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I mean,
laugh.
you know,
Yes.
we how we met, what we did when we were
Right.
dating was all fun. Then we get married, and there's kids, and there's the bills, and
Yeah.
there's the mortgage,
Yeah,
and there's
right.
jobs, and you forget the fun part of it. So I think it's important to have fun and do what it is. For us, we love Disney. That's why it's good to live here.
Which one is the fun one? I mean, there usually is one that has more fun than the other. Is that
That's
true in your
definitely
case?
me.
That
He would say it's him. I would say it's a group effort.
Let's look at the spiritual side of your marriage and your relationship.
That's her.
That- I love it. That's great. Good, Christine.
Thank you.
How important is it to pray together and to have devotions together, or do you kind of do that separately?
Just did that this morning.
We did that this morning. We did.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I have my own personal prayer time. For the longest time, I would say, you have to pray with me and be like those men that pray. And he's like what men, you know? I don't know any man that wants to sit in your prayer room for an hour. So, yeah, I just had to learn to develop my own relationship outside of my marriage with Jesus. And that's what keeps me, you know, going through life in motherhood and marriage and in ministry and anything. And then we do devotions daily, which I think is nice. And they're not long and belabored.
But with the three of you, or just the two of you?
We do us together
Yes.
in the morning, and with Solomon, we'll do that in the evening,
Okay.
pray before he goes to bed, and that kind of thing. But we'll read something, maybe on relationships
Yeah.
in the morning, and then
We're doing the one for Solomon, but we're doing that together.
yeah. But I mean, she's got to have her time with God. I've got to have my
Yeah.
time with God as well. So it's not that that's the only time, but definitely I think that's important.
One more question. I love you guys. You guys are so much fun to talk to. If you were to tell our viewers today the most important way to resolve a conflict, because I'm not great at conflict resolution. I'd rather not have conflict. I just want to run from conflict.
I like that.
How do you do too? You run? I'm glad we're not married, buddy.
going
I'm
with
telling
you.
you.
We're
It's
out
like
here.
turtle and shark, you know?
So
He'd
how do
retreat.
we
She's-
resolve conflict?
She's chasing me down, jumping on the hood of the car.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, I'm out of
I
here.
know, bye. See
She's,
ya.
she's Italian. She
Well,
got
then
a
I
little,
need to
little
ask her,
feisty, you know.
Christine, how do you resolve conflict?
Well, I like resolve, so I'm saying, okay, give me one tagline if you don't want to finish this conversation.
Wow.
You know, okay, so tomorrow at 3, we will finish this, but right now I need to go to bed or I'm going to say something, you know? And that's reality, it's truth. And then the other is just saying, this is really not worth it. Let's pick our battles. And so, okay, I choose to move on. And then you just have to deal with
That's
yourself.
really reality. That was last night.
That was last night, just last night. I would love to be a fly on the wall in your home. I bet
it's
you guys
funny.
have so much fun. But you sound really honest with each other, and you're obviously still very much in love, right?
Yes, I adore him.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
So I didn't hear you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Just wanted to be sure you had your chance there, Dave.
Thank
You
you.
guys, Dave and Christine Martin, thank you so much for being
Thank
here with us today,
you.
giving us a
Thank
laugh,
you.
but helping us also see some healthy ways to have a relationship with Jesus, in Jesus Christ, in a wonderful marriage. So we've got more coming up for you, so you don't want to go away. Well, we had a wonderful time today on Welcome Home talking about marriage, weddings, and brides. And I know this is a topic which can bring about lots of joy as well as some anxiety and stress. And I doubt that our Lord wants stress in our lives. Hopefully, our program gave you some encouragement in the area of weddings and marriage and how to allow God to work in every area of our lives. I like to say that if we just look to Jesus for his wisdom and direction, then our perspective becomes eternal and not just focused on what's in the here and now, temporal versus eternal. Our marriages here on earth need to be God-honoring, and that's not always easy. But the way we treat each other, whether we're married or single, is oftentimes a reflection of our relationship with God. The Bible says, "He that loveth not knoweth not God, for God is love." So, beloved, let us love one another. That's our command. That's our biggest job in life, to love one another and, of course, to love God. And that, dear friends, is our note of hope for today. Thanks so much for joining us on Welcome Home. We'll see you next time, and may God richly bless you.